Good day everyone. I'm Aldrin Herales from BSCAM to H1.
In this video, I will discuss on how spectrophotometer works and how to use spectrophotometer. Here's how spectrophotometer works. A lamp provides the source of light. The beam of light strikes the diffraction grating, which work like a prism and separates the light into its component wavelength. The grating is rotated so that only a specific wavelength of light reaches the exit slit. Then the light interacts the sample. From this point, the detector measures the transmittance and absorbance of the sample. Transmittance refers to the amount of light that passes completely through the sample and strikes the detector. Absorbance is a measurement of light that is absorbed by the sample. The detector senses the light being transmitted through the sample and converts this information into digital display. How to use a spectrophotometer. First, let's go over with the parts of the spectrophotometer. First, you have the sample compartment. The lid opens and closes to the picture sample inside. You have the wavelength control knob to change the wavelength. This is called the zero control on the left hand side, and this is the transmittance absorbance control on the right hand side. On top is the mode select button, and when you push the mode select button, you'll notice the lid will change position and so will the readout. To begin using the spectrophotometer, you have to have your samples ready. So first, you should prepare a blank solution, and the blank solution has everything in it except for the molecule or compound you wish to measure. Then you should also have a tube which contains a sample which you want to measure when taking readings. It's best to go ahead and use the transmittance as the way to set up the machine and also to take your readings. The transmittance scale is linear, so it's easy to set the 0 and the 100%. So when you're ready to calibrate the machine, be sure to push the mode button several times until you have the transmittance value highlighted before you begin. In order to start taking a reading, you have to first set the machine up. So to do so, first thing you must do is use the wavelength control knob and adjust the wavelength until the wavelength that you want to measure at is reached. And let's go ahead and try taking a measure at 420 nanometer. Next thing you need to do is using zero control. Turn the zero control until you get 0.0 showing up on the display. Next thing you should do is now open up the sample compartment and put the blank solution in. Insert them in the machine. We should always wipe out the bottom of your cuvette before to make sure that nothing interferes with the reading. Also, notice that there's a little line shown in the front of the cuvette. Line that up with dash on the front of the sample compartment and then insert it all the way inside and then close the sample compartment door. This time we're going to use the absorbance and transmittance control and turn it appropriately one way or the other until you get 100 on the dial. Once you've set the machine at 100%, then you can go ahead and take your cuvette out. And then put your sample in, again making sure that you line up the mark on the cuvette with the mark on the sample compartment. Here you can see that the transmittance value is 93. You can also send the absorbance reading by simply pushing the mode button to go down to where it says absorbance. So when the absorbance lid is lit, you can see that at the same wavelength, absorbance is 0.032. You want to do that, the machine has to be set up specifically in order to use the option, and this line is not. So do not write this concentration down, and you need to know the concentration factor in order to set the concentration. So ignore those, just use the transmittance and absorbance on the machine. When you remove your sample, the machine should return back to zero transmittance. You can go ahead and continue to put new samples into sample compartment and continue to take reading at the same wavelength that you just set the machine up for. So if you have 10 test tubes, you can now put all 10 of them in one at a time and note the readings. But once you decide that you want to record a wavelength at a different wavelength, let's say we want to switch from 420 to 480 nanometer, now we have to go through the entire calibration method and more time. So then we'll have to begin by first changing the wavelength of the desired 480 nanometer. We'll have to zero the machine using zero control knob on the left. Then we'll have to put the blank cuvette back in, and then you'll have to use the knob on the right, absorbance transmittance control, in order to set the machine back at 100% transmittance. And then after that, then you can go ahead and put your sample in to read absorbance or transmittance at the new wavelength.